Welcome everyone to another episode of Picks to Watch, the show that introduces you to fun and interesting champions that could be making their way into the pro scene here at the World Championship this year. Now, many of you are probably expecting some sort of joke to happen right now, but we here at Picks to Watch have decided to move away from jokes such as that. We believe in serious, professional esports content. No longer do we want to do silly gags, dressing up, or cheap one-liners anymore. So right now, from this point forward, there will only be serious, professional content on your screen. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Our first pick will have 80 carries crying for their mummies. It's Amumu.
I thought you'd never pick me.
The sad mummy has been rising in popularity, well, at least play rate wise, after Riot tried to turn his frown upside down. The turning point was patch 11.17, as Amumu was given a second bandage toss, which has taken his search for friends to the support role. With a second chance at engages and the ability to Spider-Man to a minion out of fights, Amumu has more options than ever. But with great power comes great responsibility. Amumu can struggle in lane, so he has to pick his engages wisely. However, once the mummy hits level 6, it's a wrap. Curse of the Sad Mummy, his ultimate, is the powerful tool that takes Amumu from rags to riches. It can set up ganks, start all-ins, or turn fights around altogether, especially when paired with powerful AoE abilities like Ziggs or Gangplank's ultimate. And if you're still not down with the sadness, maybe his damage will be enough to convince you. With true damage from his passive, percentage max health damage on his W, and the additional tanky stats he gains from his E, Amumu makes sure he isn't the only one feeling constant pain. Sadly though for Amumu, he is cursed with the reliance on landing skill shots, which means his attempts to engage often come unraveled when facing highly mobile opponents. When I was reading item builds for mummies, I found varied results, as LCK supports opt for Locket of the Iron Solari first, while those here in Europe rush Anathemas. However, EU supports tend to pick up Locket second anyway, so you're pretty safe regardless, though it's worth noting some LCK supports take Zhonya's second for additional stalling and damage. Amumu's runes are at least more clear cut, with Aftershock as his keystone of choice and Inspiration second. Next, it's time to Lucian up a bit. Yeah, it's Lucian, sorry.
And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
The Purifier has been meta in pro play for ages as a mid or top laner, but the Sentinel is finally returning to the bot lane after recent buffs. It turns out Lucian doesn't even need a wife buff to make it to Worlds, as he has been regularly joined by Nami down bot. Lucian's new passive gives him bonus damage when allies buff him. Pair that with the slow and bonus damage from Nami's E and you have a bubble whammy of hurt. Aggressive supports are really good with Lucian, as they allow him more agency to be a lane bully with his very high damage and mobility. Plus, now that the number of bullets from his ult scale with crits, Lucian can go Sentinel in after his first item. The Purifier's scaling used to be criticized due to his lack of range and lethality item focus, but his immense mobility can close the gap, while his new crit build makes his damage and ability to fight front to back that much stronger. Lucian can still be played in the side lane too. Having an AD carry split push while a mage clears waves in mid can have significant benefits. That flexibility makes it very likely that we'll be seeing the Light Slinger in Iceland, but that doesn't mean he's unstoppable. Teams looking for a solution will know that abusing his short range and picking hard crowd control can heavily limit Lucian's output. Especially if he's put behind early. It's lights out for your team if your Lucian isn't dealing damage. As the game goes on, Lucian and his typical glass cannon build is at greater risk of being blown up. One wrong move in the relentless pursuit of greed could send you face first into, say, a Victor laser, for example. The current Lucian build sees Gale Force or Kraken Slayer as the first item depending on the situation, followed by Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge. A lot of ADs also like taking Cyrilla's Grudge for the synergies with his ult, but there are a lot of situational options. As for runes, Press the Attack is the common choice with Inspiration secondary. Earlier we had a wannabe Peter Parker, now it's time to meet Peter Parkour, aka Talon. The Blade Shadow has been a talented jungler for some time now, but with buff damage to minions on his W, Talon can now rake in all the benefits of a very fast clear. His ability to flip over walls means Talon has limitless options when traversing the jungle, and allows him creative gank routes to some assault unsuspecting opponents. Typically, melee assassins struggle in the early game and in lane as they don't duel well without items and weapons, but Talon somewhat avoids that by hiding in the jungle instead. You would think he would struggle into a lot of jungle matchups, but he can always flip out of sticky situations, while some players even run Ignite to compensate for his weakness early on. Talon starts looking particularly sharp once he hits 6. His ultimate dramatically increases his burst potential and also gives him invisibility because, why not? That's fun. I love dying out of nowhere. Currently, this Assassin's Creed is actually more of a Bruiser style build with Gordrinker, Yomus, and Black Cleaver. Talon still has a lot of damage, but also a high health pool and good sustain. It's the best of both worlds, as he can take down squishy high priority targets or duke it out with the tankier opponents. However, Talon still doesn't offer much utility, which can hamper his ability to set up lanes. And if you do run Ignite instead of Flash, you need to be aware of what walls you haven't leapt over yet, as your margin for error is much smaller. You could easily become the flippiest of coin flips. We already covered items, but it's also worth mentioning that Serpent's Fang is a great option to take down shielded targets, and some people even run Death's Dance to continue the Bruiser identity. As for runes, Conqueror is the primary option, and once again, Inspiration is the go-to secondary choice. Well, that does it for this episode of Picks to Watch. If there are any fun or interesting champions you think that could be making their way into the professional scene at the World Championship this year, be sure to go into the comments section below and let me know. The World Championship starts on the 5th of October, and you won't want to miss it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Also, if like not all of them could go for my face, I don't know, aim for my shoulder or aim for like... It's fine if it hits my face. It is fine. I'm just saying that if 4 hit my face, it's a little excessive. Oh, my makeup's gonna be ruined.